Ever feel like your client meetings, they're kind of stuck on repeat, like same updates, same challenges, same old, same old?
Yeah, it's a common trap I've seen, especially for those fast-growing tech startups. I think they're just so focused on building their product right, reaching that next milestone. They kind of forget about or maybe miss out on maximizing the relationships they already have.
Right, right. And that's kind of where our deep dive for this episode comes in, right? We're talking about transforming those routine client check-ins, the ones that can sometimes feel a little stale, into, well, powerful engines for growth. And we're doing it using something called quarterly business reviews, or QBRs.
Before you think, oh no, not another like jargon-filled business buzzword,
Right.
let me just tell you, the QBR, this is different.
Okay, so we're going deep on this whole QBR concept today, and we've got some great insights from an article by Ngulam. They're a firm really specialized in helping tech companies, especially as in like what they call SaaS, software as a service, to, scale their growth. And they've like really cracked the code on making these QBRs impactful.
And what I find really fascinating about Gulam's approach, like, they don't see QBRs as just meetings. They're not. They're strategic opportunities,
Yeah.
to really deepen relationships and uncover new avenues for growth. And not just for their clients, but for their clients' customers, too.
Okay, so we're talking about ditching the boring PowerPoint presentations and those endless status updates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not that. Think of it instead more like a collaborative strategy session, more like a conversation.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But let's rewind just a sec. For those who might be new to this whole concept, how does Angulam actually define a QBR?
They keep it pretty straightforward. A QBR is a structured meeting. They happen every 3 months with, your key clients or stakeholders. And when they say structured, they mean it. Every QBR, it follows this clear framework. It's designed to move beyond just like reviewing the past. It's about strategic planning, identifying new opportunities.
So less about what just happened and more like what could happen next. I like that.
Precisely. That's where the real power is with QBRs. It's that ability to shift the conversation, from tactical to strategic.
Love how they frame it, yeah. So not just a download of information, but a dialogue, a two-way street. Now, how does this structured framework, how do you use it, in practice?
So Angolam breaks it down. An effective QBR. 4 key components. Let's just imagine for a second a fictional tech startup founder.
Huh.
Let's call her Sarah. Sarah's company. They develop project management software specifically for small businesses. She's got some great clients, but like anyone, always looking for ways to strengthen those relationships and, of course, drive growth.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to Sarah's situation there. So how would she approach her first QBR using this framework?
All right, so component number 1 is what they call the performance review.
Yeah.
This is where data takes
Mm.
center stage.
Mm.
And it's not about, bombarding the client with numbers. It's about using those numbers to tell a story.
Bringing the data to life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just here's your website traffic stats, but here's how your website traffic has grown since we, implemented that new feature.
Exactly. For example, Sarah could analyze, let's say, data from her client's use of her project management software. Maybe she sees a spike in the use of a specific feature, something designed to, make team communication smoother. She can highlight how that feature has improved the client's internal workflows, and on top of that, potentially save them time and resources.
So it's about connecting those dots, right? Between the data and like the tangible benefits, what it means for the client. That's much more compelling than a dry presentation, right? Just numbers on a page.
For sure, for sure. And this naturally leads into the second component. We call it strategic alignment.
Which is all about making sure you're both still, on the same page.
Right. Exactly. During this part of the QBR, Sarah would revisit those initial goals, objectives, the ones they talked about at the very beginning. Have those changed at all since the beginning? Have new priorities emerged?
And this is where that close relationship, and that open communication is so important, right? Because client needs, they change, and you have to be adaptable.
Absolutely. This component just ensures both parties are like still rowing in the same direction,
Yeah.
and that the services or products being offered, they're still a match. They're still aligned with the client's current needs.
So it's a two-way street, like you're making sure you're meeting their needs, but you're also open to maybe adjusting if those needs have changed, right? And if we think back to our fictional founder, Sarah, this might be where she discovers a new challenge the client is facing. Maybe they're struggling with onboarding new team members effectively, getting them to use the project management software.
Yeah, and, that's the perfect, I guess, segue into the third component of a good QBR, what Angoulum calls opportunity identification.
Okay, so this is where I feel like it gets really interesting
Yeah.
because it's all about brainstorming, exploring new possibilities together.
Absolutely. It's looking ahead, like really looking ahead together
Yeah.
and just asking what's next. In Sarah's case, that might mean, okay, how can her software help onboard these new employees more efficiently? Maybe there's a new feature they could develop. Or maybe it's about customizing what they already have, to better suit the client's onboarding process.
So it's not just about, hey, buy more of my product. It's like, how do we, you know what I mean, really understand your needs and find creative solutions to your problems?
Yeah.
It's about being a partner,
Yeah.
not just a vendor, right?
Exactly. And that's what I like about it, this collaborative approach, to problem solving. It often leads, to those win-win scenarios.
Right.
Everybody benefits.
Everybody wins.
The client is happy, they got their needs met, and Sarah gets to, really show what her product can do.
Right. Show the value.
And potentially even, expand those offerings, do more.
It's a much more, I don't know, exciting way to think about client relationships.
Yeah.
But ideas are one thing, right?
Yeah.
How do we make sure they actually, turn into concrete actions?
That's where that fourth and final component comes in, what Angoulum calls action planning.
Okay, so no more of that, let's circle back later kind of thing.
No, not at all.
We're talking real plans.
We're talking about leaving that QBR with a roadmap,
Okay.
specific steps, that both parties agree on to
Yeah.
achieve those goals, those big goals that they talked about.
Gotcha.
Assigning responsibilities, setting realistic deadlines, none of this vague stuff.
So in Sarah's case, if they decide, okay, we need to make this onboarding process smoother, better, this is where they'd figure out the details.
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe they decide that Sarah's team will, I don't know, develop a whole onboarding module within the software itself.
Okay.
Maybe set a target launch date,
Yeah.
2 quarters out, something like that.
Yeah.
And they would agree on who's responsible for what.
Okay.
Getting feedback from the client's team, all of that.
Yeah. I love how this framework brings like a sense of accountability to it,
Oh, yeah.
which, let's be honest, sometimes that's missing from those traditional client meetings. You know what I mean?
Big time. Big
Yeah.
time. And at Gulam, they emphasize this, this 4-part framework. Great foundation.
Sure.
But every QBR should be tailored,
Mhm.
Each client's different. Their needs are different.
You got to make that genuine connection, show them that you see them, not just as like a number on a spreadsheet, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Angoulum has, they've seen firsthand how transformative this whole approach to QBRs can be.
Yeah.
They share a couple of client success stories, actually, in their article. One in particular comes to mind.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
They were working with this tech startup. They were struggling
Okay.
to convert leads into, paying customers.
Right.
They had a good product, passionate team, but, the sales numbers just weren't there.
Yeah, I've been there. Common challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for startups,
Totally, totally. So how did how did this QBR process, how did they turn things around?
Yeah.
Well, through these structured QBRs with, their key clients, they uncovered this crucial insight.
Yeah.
The startup, they were so focused on the technical features, all the cool things their product could do,
Right.
that they were missing that opportunity to connect on a deeper level with their clients.
Because it's so easy to do that, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're really into what you built.
Oh, for sure.
You need that outside perspective sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's what Angoulum brought to the table.
Yeah.
They helped the startup realize that their clients, they weren't just buying a product, they were buying a solution.
It's about the why, not just the what.
Exactly, exactly. And so the startup, they shifted their approach. They started focusing on that why.
Okay.
And guess what? Conversion rates went way up.
No kidding.
They went from, really struggling to close deals to exceeding their targets
Whoa.
quarter after quarter.
That's amazing. See, that just shows you the power of QBRs, right? Not just to like make those existing relationships stronger, but you get real business results.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listen, not every QBR is going to be this dramatic,
Right.
But Congolum's experience shows that this approach, it can be a game changer when it comes to building those strong, long-lasting, profitable relationships with your clients.
Okay, so for our listeners out there ready to say, okay, no more status updates, I want to do this QBR thing, where do they start?
Yeah.
Because Angoulum, they share some good tips in their article.
They do. And one of the biggest takeaways I got was personalization. It's key.
It's all about making that client feel heard,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. This isn't a, one size fits all kind of deal.
Right.
Each QBR got to be tailored.
Right.
You got to think about the client's industry, their challenges, their goals, all of that.
So no more generic presentations.
Right.
Cookie cutter solutions, no thanks.
Nope.
You got to show up prepared. You've done your research.
For sure. For sure. And you know what plays a big part in that?
What's that?
Data.
Ah, yes, data. We've been talking about it.
It's the backbone of a successful QBR.
Right.
But it's not just about, here's a bunch of numbers, look at them.
Right.
It's about using that data to,
Just to tell a story.
tell a story.
Right.
For example, like, don't just tell a client, hey, your website traffic is up. Show them which pages are working, where their audience is coming from, and what those insights mean, how they can use them to drive even more traffic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actionable insights. I like it. What else? What other nuggets of wisdom? What else did they say?
Consistency. They really emphasize this. QBRs, it shouldn't be a one-time thing.
Right.
It's got to be consistent, part of your strategy, how you communicate with your clients.
Because it takes time to build those strong relationships, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's like you don't just, water a plant once and expect it to thrive, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
you got to be consistent.
It is. It's showing up for that quarterly meeting with your metaphorical watering can ready to nurture that business relationship.
I love that. I love that analogy.
Right.
Brings a whole new meaning to like growth strategy. Right?
Indeed. And speaking of growth, Angulam, they're really excited about the future of QBRs, especially, given all the advancements in technology these days.
Right. This is where I feel like it gets really interesting. We're talking AI, data analytics, like the whole thing. Right?
All of it. They imagine a world where all these technologies are just like seamlessly integrated into the whole QBR process.
Wow.
Making them even more, data-driven, insightful.
So instead of just like looking back at the data from last quarter, we could use AI to like almost predict future trends.
Exactly.
Future opportunities.
Think about it. Having access to like real-time insights during a QBR.
Right.
You can, adjust your strategies on the fly. You can address potential challenges before they even become a thing.
Wow.
And you can uncover those hidden opportunities that, you might missed otherwise.
That's next level stuff. It's like having a crystal ball, but for your client's business.
It is, but instead of magic, it's, it's data.
Data.
It's technology all working together.
Mm-hmm.
And Angulam predicts that within like the next 5 years, we're going to see a big shift in how QBRs are done.
Wow, that's not that far away.
Nope.
It's really incredible to think about like how much potential there is to make this even better. This tool that's already so valuable.
Lots of potential.
For our listeners who are, they're ready to get started, what final piece of advice, what did Gulam, what did they leave us with?
They encourage everyone to think about their own business relationships. And it's not just clients, it could be, partners, even your internal teams, anyone.
Right.
How could this more structured approach, how could that unlock new levels of, growth and better collaboration?
It's a really good question to ask, and I think it brings us back to that main point, right? That QBRs are not just about like going over data, checking boxes.
Right.
It's about building those relationships, that open communication, working together to reach a shared goal, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So to wrap things up, let's, ditch those boring status updates. Let's embrace this whole QBR approach and, unlock that full potential
I like it.
of all those relationships.
Sounds good to me.
This has been great. I always learn so much from these deep dives. I don't know about you. I'm ready to revamp my own client meetings now.
Me too. It's amazing how, something like this, a quarterly review can have such a big impact.
Totally.
When you really put some thought into it,
Yeah. To all our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has given you some, valuable things to think about, maybe some new ideas, some takeaways that you can use to transform those client relationships.
Absolutely.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and, keep diving deep into the world of business because it's always changing, right?
Always changing. That's right.